Well, it's always a delight to have John Rachor in the studio. He's a Jackson County Commissioner. We're going to get a little bit of an update what's happening in Jackson County. And John, good to see you, man.
Good morning, Perry.
You besides rescuing people, you run the county.
Well, there's a lot of people involved in that.
First of all, congratulations to you and all the commissioners for receiving the prestigious Entrepreneurial Award from the Chamber a couple of weeks ago. Second time in 92 years that was awarded, this time to a government agency. What's interesting about that is that you guys have made some tough decisions to keep Jackson County solvent.
That's right.
In the light of a lot of counties that are in serious trouble.
We do have some advantages over those other counties. We have a lot more assessed value here. Mm-hmm. We do have a higher tax rate than some of our neighboring counties. But, you know, I have to give a lot of credit to the past board and to Danny Jordan. You know, he's one of the best financial minds I've ever worked with, you know. And all the department heads, too. Boy, they sharpen their pencils, you know. Mm-hmm. If we give them a budget, they can make it work.
All right. And so you've stayed on it against some criticism. You guys stayed on it.
Yes, that's right. There's always going to be criticism when you. We really haven't cut back services. You know, we've just been more efficient. You know, it involved before I was here probably laying off 300 people. You know, mm-hmm. But they're still able to keep the service level up there by being more efficient.
Good. And so, how healthy are we compared to the other 35?
Well, you know. We're strong right now. You know, Josephine County and Curry County are the ones that are really tough shape. They have 58, 59 cents a thousand of assessed tax value for assessed value. We have $2. Mm. And they just have no reserves. We have a good reserve out there, you know. I think probably totally our reserves are up around 60 million, you know.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Good. So. All right, so let's talk about some of the things you're dealing with. You mentioned before we went on the air the governor's land use issues, and where is that now?
Well, that's interesting. A lot of people might not know that we're working on that. Earlier this year, the governor signed an executive order, and I have to thank Sal Escoval and Bill Gerard from Klamath. There's a lot of land in Southern Oregon that's miszoned. And I'll give people the example. If you go to the Willamette Valley, almost everything's flat that is good farmland, and everything on a hill you can grow timber, and it's not that way down here. If you look at that Johns Peak country, you know, where it's on the hills but you can't grow timber. If you look at Sam's Valley out there, you know, it's all rocky, it's flat, and it's zoned DFU, but you can't get water to it, and if you could get water to it, you couldn't grow anything out there. Mm-hmm. And so Sal and Bill started the process, and it got hung up in the Senate, but then the governor signed an executive order. We call it 1207. It was earlier this year. It's probably the 7th order of 2012, and it allowed the 3 counties down here, Douglas, Josephine, and Jackson, to look at repairing this problem, and whether it would be rezone what we have or come up with a new zone classification. So now there's the 3 commissioners from the county, myself from Jackson County, and Harold Haugen from Josephine County, and then Susan Morgan up at Roseburg, and then the 3 planning directors from the county. We get together. The planning directors get together every 2 weeks. We get together about once a month, unless we have a pressing issue, and we're moving forward with this. That's and the planning directors met with DLCD. They're the ones that are the Department of Land Conservation Development. They're the ones that are kind of overseeing this process. And they're keeping us on track, you know. There's a lot of people worried that it's going to be a free-for-all down here and you'll be able to build on high-value farmland, but there'll be no high-value farmland. I think the way we're going now, we're going to try to rezone what we have. If we had to come up with a new classification, that would have to be approved statewide.
Timeline on that?
Well, we have to get our grant request in. That the state did allocate $350,000 to help us do this, and that money is going to be available in, I believe, like the 1st of July next year. Mm-hmm. So we have to get our application in on what we want to do by that time.
Okay. Couple of other issues. How's water in this county? How are we doing with water?
We're in good shape with water.
Are we?
Yeah. We're in good shape with water. You know, the Lost Creek, they were to fill all the way this year. You know, and so on.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do. You just made a decision to go ahead and let the mining ruins be removed. That mine in Jacksonville. That's been kind of a touchy little subject
Yeah, and
for a while.
that was an op mine, and what we did is there's some tailings out there, and that is another place that's probably zoned wrong. It's zoned woodland resource, forest land, and to get a mining permit, even though that was a mine way before zoning ever came to effect, to get a mining permit on that is really difficult. And the fellow that owns that, Frank Harden, just wanted to be able to haul away his tailings. He was going to haul them to a place over in Merlin that could reclaim the gold out of those tailings. And I think he calculated out you could get about $112 a ton. And so there was some possibility there for him to realize a little income off that land. But unfortunately, it was just tied up in land use. And so the other day, we were able to make a decision that said that him hauling that away wasn't mining. And the example I give is if it was old car bodies, he could haul it away. If it was excess mining equipment, old tramway, he could haul it away. Why couldn't he haul away this? You know, because it was just sitting on the ground. And it got fairly complicated on whether it was extraction. Extraction is mining. And so anyway.
Well, at least for a little while, some employment will take place.
That's right, yeah. And there was a lot of worries when he applied for this in the past that there was going to be 50 dump trucks a day going through Jacksonville. Well, he's going to only use 4 to 8 truckloads a day, and they'll go out through the Applegate, so it won't go through Jacksonville.
Well, that's good.
Anyway, and he called me the other day and wanted to know if he could put a sign up that said 15 miles an hour maximum on that road to keep the neighbors happy, you know, and he'll do dust control, and yeah, he'll be a good neighbor on this.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, how are we doing at attracting new businesses, and what's going on there?
You know, that's exciting. We started that new plan, our economic development plan, where if you hire, I think you have to hire a minimum of 5 people here in Jackson County. Well, the county will pay you $2,000 a person for that. We just allocated, I want to say $50,000 the other day to a company called Terramia. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but they take old wood and then they refinish it and they send it off to businesses, casinos and things like that want to do a real elaborate entryway or something. They were down in McLeod, and they've now moved up here. They bought the Burl Lumber Company mill out there. We helped Lindy out on Kirkland Road, and I understand now that they were so impressed with that the county was willing to give them $2,000 for every employee they hired, that they're now looking at hiring close to 100 more in the future here. So that's impressive. There's some people that are not happy with that program because we're giving taxpayer money, to a private business, but we don't want to do it to a business that's going to compete. We don't want to give it to a donut shop that wants to come in here, a fast food restaurant. And plus you have to have an average wage above the average wage in Jackson County, which is about, I don't know, $47,000.
A couple other things before we run out of too much time here. The Highway 62.
And the bypass?
I know they're now doing the public hearing and they're taking public input. I mean, what can the public say about this? There's only so much land you can move this thing to, and so what are the options here?
Well, I'm sure that's going to go through, although they only have funding, I think, to go out as far as Vilas Road, and so they're moving ahead with that project, assuming that they're going to get the funding for.
So they go to Vilas Road and then have to go back over?
Well, no, they're confident that by the time they get that section finished, there will be more money appropriated.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because if not, they're taking out the new sheriff building, aren't they?
Well, it'll go a little bit to the west of the new sheriff's building there. So,
okay.
yeah.
How are we doing on crime in Jackson County?
I don't know that. Things are looking good. What I notice in my flying is I don't see. We haven't found near the number of marijuana grows on public land that there has been in the past. The sheriff's been aggressive on that over the last 3 or 4 years, and they didn't see many on public land last year, and they've seen very few on public land this year.
Okay. Building permits going back up?
Yeah, it's a slow climb, but they're coming back up.
Houses or commercial?
Houses. Yeah, I think we have quite a bit of excess commercial land here.
Yeah. I just wonder what we do to get some more businesses to come. Is there any other incentives out there besides paying for future hirees?
Well, you know, when people realize something I've noticed is the more desirable place it is to live, the harder it is to get a permit. You know, if you look, I mean, try to build
That's
a business.
well said, John.
Try to build a business in Jackson Hole or Malibu or something.
Yeah.
And because it's a little tough to build here, that tells me this is a real desirable place to live. But what we're finding when people are really looking for quality of life, you know, this is a good place to build.
We're seeing more and more big dollars spent in the wine industry. Where's this going?
You know, they all seem to be successful. You know, I hope that. Although I did read the other day that there was an article in the paper about that was there 250,000 excess cases that winemakers need to move here in the valley.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I know we're becoming highly desirable in that area, and I didn't know if that was encroaching upon anything else. I would assume the pear industry is still pretty strong.
Yes. Yeah. The pear industry is solid. You know.
Yeah. Good. Well, what are your concerns as we head in the future here, John?
You know, we're going to have a big battle over this GMO issue, you know, and I had a meeting, the State Department of Agriculture was down here last week for their meeting, and had a talk with Katie, who's the director of that, and she told me an interesting thing, and it relates to GMO, that when it comes to a ballot measure, you can't win it on science. It's emotion, and I hadn't thought about that before. But emotions win elections, not science.
That's right. True. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much, and I'm just hoping this will eventually come to a vote of the people. And when it does, I hope people really research it. You know, there's so many. You know, it's hard to get straight information on the GMO issue, because besides whether you decide whether it's healthier or more nutritious, then you get into other things. The Sherman Antitrust Act of limiting competition, the Oregon Right to Farm that says that you can't limit a farmer's crop based on things that are called a nuisance, like you can't limit his crop based on dust or noise or type of crop. And so there's an issue there, too.
So this has got a long ways to go.
It's got a long ways to go. They're gathering signatures right now. They would like the county to put it on a ballot, a special election, the commissioners to do it in March. But that would cost the county about $135,000, and we don't feel that's money well spent, you know.
Just stretch it out to next November or something?
Or next...
May.
Well, and not this May. It needs to be in even years.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
It'll automatically be on. You know, we can put it on in the May election, but then it would still cost the county quite a bit. Not as much, but probably around $35,000.
Well, thanks, John, for coming in. Thanks for the hard work. I know you put in a lot of hours, a harder job than you thought it was.
It is. It is. A lot more hours than I understood. Nobody told me.
Yeah, it's cutting into your flying time. All right.